1 in 3 Americans taking antidepressants right now is getting zero clinical benefit. The data proving this has been public since 2006. It came from the largest antidepressant trial ever funded by the United States government. And it is sitting in a journal that every psychiatrist in this country has access to. Nobody called you, nobody updated the protocol, and millions of people are still cycling through prescription after prescription, confused, exhausted, and told by well-meaning doctors that they just need to be more patient. Today we are going to tell you exactly why this happens, down to the biological mechanism. And we are going to give you one specific question to ask your doctor that most physicians have never been asked. The answer starts in a place your psychiatrist was never trained to look. The most prescribed antidepressants in America are SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, Prozac, Zoloft. Lexapro. Their mechanism is built on one foundational assumption. Depression is caused by low serotonin in the brain. Block the reabsorption. Keep more serotonin active, improve mood. That theory is 50 years old. The science has moved far beyond it. Here is the number that changes the entire conversation. According to peer-reviewed research published in Naumann Schmiederberg's Archives of Pharmacology in 2024, approximately 90 to 95% of your body's total serotonin is not produced in the brain. It is produced in the gut, by your intestinal lining cells triggered by your gut bacteria. Your brain controls 5% of the supply. Your gut controls the rest. Think of it this way. SSRIs are designed to fix a pump inside your skull. But 95% of the water flowing through that pump comes from a reservoir in your gut, a reservoir the drug never touches. You can optimize that pump perfectly. If the reservoir is contaminated, it does not matter. That is not a fringe theory. That is basic physiology that the standard depression treatment model has ignored for decades. And when you understand what's actually happening inside that reservoir, the 40% failure rate suddenly makes complete sense. Research consolidated by Psychiatric Times confirms that after 2 adequate trials of antidepressants from different drug classes, 30 to 40% of patients report no significant improvement. A 2025 study in the British Journal of Psychiatry found that 37% of diagnosed depression patients had tried 4 or more antidepressants without relief. 4 different drugs still suffering. 3 biological mechanisms explain this, and none of them are addressed by an SSRI. Pathway 1. Inflammation is stealing your raw material. Your body makes serotonin from tryptophan, an amino acid you get from food. When your immune system is chronically activated, it produces inflammatory molecules called cytokines. IL-6 and TNF-alpha are the primary ones. These cytokines activate an enzyme called IDO, and IDO diverts your tryptophan away from serotonin production entirely, converting it instead into compounds that actively suppress mood and inflame the brain. Simply put, inflammation intercepts the ingredient before serotonin is ever made. An SSRI has no mechanism to stop that interception. Pathway 2. Your gut bacteria have collapsed. Your gut contains trillions of microorganisms. When that ecosystem is healthy, rich in species like bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, it converts tryptophan into serotonin efficiently and produces short-chain fatty acids that protect your blood-brain barrier. When that ecosystem is disrupted, through processed food, antibiotics, or chronic stress, serotonin production drops, the blood-brain barrier weakens, and inflammatory signals flood the brain. A 2023 review published in eBiomedicine by researchers at Chongqing Medical University confirmed that gut dysbiosis is directly tied to both the onset and the progression of major depressive disorder through the gut-brain axis. An SSRI does not restore gut bacteria. It does not repair that barrier. It does not address dysbiosis. Pathway 3. Your genetics are neutralizing the drug before it works. Certain individuals carry genetic variants that cause the liver to metabolize antidepressants too rapidly, meaning the compound never reaches therapeutic concentration in the bloodstream. Others carry variants that alter how serotonin receptors respond, regardless of how much serotonin is present. Pharmacogenomic testing to identify these variants exists today and is commercially available. The majority of patients cycling through failed prescriptions have never been offered it. Here is what makes this more complicated than a simple gap in knowledge. A 2024 multi-omic study published in the journal Microbiome followed 110 patients with major depressive disorder on escitalopram, one of the most widely prescribed SSRIs in the United States, for 12 weeks. The drug improved certain amino acid levels in the blood, but it also measurably reduced microbial diversity in the gut. The very ecosystem responsible for producing 95% of the body's serotonin became less rich, less varied, and less functional during treatment. The medication targeting serotonin was degrading the primary organ that manufactures it. This is not a reason to stop your medication. That decision belongs to your physician. But it is a reason to understand that treating depression with an SSRI alone, without addressing gut health, without measuring inflammation, without considering genetics, is treating a complex systemic condition with a single variable tool. The science already has a more complete answer. The question is whether anyone has been asking you the right questions. Research published across eBiomedicine, translational psychiatry, and the Cochrane Library framework consistently points to 3 evidence-based directions for patients not responding to antidepressants alone. Combining antidepressant therapy with cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, produces significantly better outcomes than medication alone across multiple controlled trials. If you are on medication without structured therapy, you are using half the available toolkit. Targeted dietary changes, specifically increasing fermented foods, dietary fiber, and omega-3 fatty acids, have demonstrated measurable effects on SCFA-producing gut bacteria and on the inflammatory markers that disrupt tryptophan metabolism. This is not a supplement advertisement. This is published biology. And for those who have failed 2 or more antidepressant trials, pharmacogenomic testing and baseline inflammatory blood work, CRP, homocysteine, and IL-6, represent a logical and available next step that most patients are never offered. Now, here is the one question we mentioned at the beginning. Next time you see your prescribing physician, ask them this: has anyone checked my inflammation levels and my gut health as part of my depression workup? Their response will tell you whether you are getting a complete evaluation or a prescription refill. Depression is not a character flaw. Treatment resistance is not a life sentence. But you deserve a doctor who is asking every question, not just the ones that end at a pill bottle. The research exists, the tools exist. The only thing missing is the conversation.